Hey, it's Patti Scharf, CPA and co-founder of Catching Clouds, the leader in e-commerce accounting. And today we're going to talk about sales tax. If you hadn't noticed the change of scenery, we're in my hotel room. We're going to Prosper Show later this week. And in case you don't know what Prosper Show is, it is the premier event for Amazon sellers. Anybody who wants to be a seven-figure seller or already is, they're going there to find out the latest and greatest about what's going on in the industry. So today I decided to pull in the big guns. I'm going to have Scott Scharf, my partner in life and work, join us, and he's going to talk about sales tax, the recent events in sales tax. There's some heavy duty stuff going on this year that you should know about. And if you still have questions about sales tax, stick around to the end and we can help you with that. Okay, let's hear from Scott.
Let's talk about changes. There are a number of states that have created these notices, and it started with Colorado. They created their Colorado Amazon law before Amazon had any warehouses in Colorado to create Nexus for external FBA sellers. Is that they're like, wait, we need to know, we want basically all of these sellers to tattle on our citizens so that we can go after use tax, okay? That's not really what they're trying to do. What they really want to do is, instead of having everybody report, what they want to do is get everyone to register and start collecting sales tax. So they get the money, they don't have to bug their citizens, and off they go to the races, okay? So that's kind of the big change that's going on. Since it's working for Colorado, there's about 5 or 6 states that are doing it, and more states are going to adopt this approach. So the reach of changes. Amazon sharing data with Rhode Island. This happened in the last week. We popped it out on our list. Everybody's noticed it. Wait, what's going on? And then it was like, wait, Amazon doesn't have an FBA warehouse in Rhode Island. What are they doing? They have one of these notice and reporting laws. And Rhode Island has such a small percentage of the population, but what they do is they want the tax revenue, okay? So what you're going to do is, and basically what they're trying to do is get everyone to register, okay? And the thing is, and I'll show in the next slide, the fines are pretty huge where the cost to comply is a known quantity, okay? And just like all these rules, you can take a risk management approach, but what is Rhode Island gonna do? Are they gonna send an email or a letter to every Amazon FBA seller, put them all on notice, okay? And I'll go with that in more detail. They provided information to Massachusetts, including the value, what Amazon guessed of your inventory in their warehouses, okay? Now, you know, Amazon opened the warehouse in October of 2016, so you're not looking at 5 years of people being in Massachusetts and doing business, but the data they're sharing. Amazon is collecting all sales tax in Washington, and Etsy's doing it, and Walmart is gonna start collecting sales tax. So that means that Amazon collects all the sales tax for every sale in Washington and then gives all the money to the state of Washington. That doesn't change if you have Nexus. If you have products stored there, you have Nexus. They expect you to file a monthly or quarterly return, even if you're an Amazon-only seller, and then pay in Washington what's called a business and occupation tax. I think it's quarterly. I think it's quarterly. We've just started taking care of it for our clients. And so it doesn't change anything for all of our clients that we're already registering and filing. And if you're a multi-channel seller, you still have to pay in the sales tax you collect on Shopify or eBay or these other channels, that you still have a compliance requirement, even though you don't escrow and hold the money. And so more and more states are going to do that, but all the compliance costs and overhead and requirements don't disappear. Some people might say, well, I'll just stop filing in Washington, but what'll happen is Washington's going to hit you with $50 or more late fees for not filing a paper that everything might be all zeros. So things to keep an eye on. All right, the Colorado Amazon law, the reporting law, it started it. It went up to the Supreme Court twice, okay, and was not heard by the Supreme Court, okay? Now, the Supreme Court is, I think this is the one from South Carolina or North Carolina. Anyway, there's a whole bunch. I've got a whole list of them that I'm tracking, that they've gone up and they're challenging Quill. I think that we'll hear either this late spring or summer. We'll start hearing the arguments, and the Supreme Court are going to decide. Now, they could either really strengthen Quill or keep it the same, or they could just destroy it. And if they get rid of it, because, you know, it was done, you know, in mail order catalog days and now it's e-commerce days. If it changes, it could remove all the limitations and all states could go after sales tax, okay? And all of a sudden, every e-commerce seller would have to comply in all 45 states. So we'll find this year a lot's going to change, okay? And then South Carolina, Amazon is suing, or South Carolina is suing Amazon, and they're going back and forth. I think something happened yesterday, but these are things that can impact you. If you're already registered, you're collecting and filing on time, you don't have to worry about it. Things more than likely will get worse than better, or more complicated than better through all of these changes, but we'll just have to see. All right, notice and reporting states. So here are the ones that we've talked about. So what's going on? In general, and we're verifying this on every state and we'll pull it all together, is that in general, if you go out and register today, you don't have to worry about any of these reporting and compliance. As soon as you're starting to collect sales tax from their citizens, they're good, okay? So Colorado, you have to have $100,000 in sales. That in Colorado, that's about, based on population, $4.5 million seller. So if you're below a $4 million seller, unless you're selling Colorado specific branded products, you probably don't have to worry about this law once you're below those thresholds. Now, Louisiana, it's $50,000 in sales. I looked it up. It's more than Colorado. I think it's 7 or 8 million. And then the penalties unknown. We don't have detail. It's new and just being enforced. So the next one, Pennsylvania, it's $10,000 in sales. The minimum penalty is $20K. So if you break the rules, and I'll talk about more of the details on the other slides, and they fine you, it's $20,000. In general, it's like I said, it's going to cost you $200 to register. On average, in time and or paying for a tool or outsourcing to somebody to do this for you, you're going to pay a budgeted number of $50 per month per state, okay? So $800 the first year for each state, $600 a year going forward. Hopefully that starts to come down, but it's such a complex process that everybody, us included, has to do a ton of research and deal with just all kinds of changes, you know, every week, every month, okay? Rhode Island, it's $100,000 or 200 transactions. I looked at one of our clients' data. They sell a board game on Amazon, and they had sold 228 units into Rhode Island. So they crossed the threshold. 29 less items, they could have blown it off for another year, okay? So that 200 transactions is crazy, okay? And the minimum penalty is $10,000, okay? $600 a year takes a lot of years to get to the point where you've hit $10,000 in compliance cost, okay? Vermont, there's no threshold. It's first sale and it's penalty on the 5 to 10 item, and I'll talk about that. In Washington, it's $10,000 in sales. And then a minimum $20K per item. Like, it's just crazy. Like, these things are going to get challenged in court again. People are going to fight them. It is going to put businesses, people out of business. There'll be a lot of buzz around it, but a lot of these states don't care because they're businesses that aren't in their states, okay? So it's gonna be a little bit of cutthroat. And yes, this is what the Commerce Clause is supposed to do, but all the states are doing it. So it's kind of everyone's going along. All right, Colorado, know the minimums. You know, easier, just register and collect and you're done. Okay. And Amazon now has, like you saw in that example, we have a client that starting in November, they had products in the Amazon warehouses. There's one near the airport now, and we're here in Colorado. And there's another large, you know, multi-million square foot facility that'll hold most every type of product here coming up fairly soon. Okay. Now, here's the tough part, and I've looked into this, is to comply with these laws. At your checkout, if somebody has a Colorado ship to address, you are supposed to post a notice during checkout that says, hey, this seller isn't registered in Colorado, and that you're responsible for paying use tax, okay? So there's multiple levels here. Here's the first one. You can't make Amazon do that. Amazon's not going to make that change. You have no control over their checkout process, okay? So that first, you literally can't do it if you're an Amazon seller. I sent a support case in and I looked it up on Shopify on looking at our clients, and I went through help and a bunch of other stuff. You can't do it in Shopify. So literally you can't comply with this law from a technical perspective. Now, let alone the fact that that everybody knows that the last thing you want is one more thing that might annoy somebody that's buying in your checkout process and have them drop and lose a conversion rate and have a drop. Okay, they might look at that and say, well, I'm going to go to somebody else that's not going to report me to the state. Okay, so there are a smaller percentage of buyers that won't buy products if you charge sales tax, but that's starting to change. It's not as big of a deal as it was years ago. So just keep in mind that you literally can't comply with these notice and reporting laws. The state, they all say, oh, well, technology will fix it. Well, you don't have any control over this technology. Now, if you have your own custom Magento site or you can customize your WooCommerce site, then yes, you could do this. Okay, but is it worth the cost? Is it going to cost more in development time and management than $600 a year? Okay. So we've got some reporting. I've got mixed messages of whether or not you have to comply in a few days. In general, what I'm hearing, and I checked in the last couple of days, I got a note from somebody I know that basically register, it's cleared. You may choose to ignore it anyway. That's a valid choice because the chance of them finding you is low. But I don't think any of the reporting has to happen until January of next year. But then you have to send a paper postcard for anybody who bought more than $500 in product that year. If all of your products are under $20 and nobody buys them multiple times, no problem. But that's a physical postcard. The law actually says you have to do a physical postcard and it couldn't be changed. Now, they did say you could opt in and send an email to everybody saying, hey, everybody in Colorado, can we send you these sales tax notices via email? And then they would have to opt in, which would just confuse them. It's not really a marketing message, but they said you had to get the opt-in before 12/15/17, but this advice didn't come out until like January 2nd. So, and then you have to provide an annual report. They're still doing it. Do you have to include what the person bought? What does it have to include? What details, by what date, and what format? It's just crazy. Okay. All right. Fines if you don't comply, 5 to 10 for each item plus, and no minimum. If you had 10,000 items, it could be, you know, a crazy amount of things. Okay. It's been rejected, so it stands. So I'm being told to wrap it up. I'm going over Rhode Island, either register for the sales tax or do all of the following things, the same things I just talked about, but they actually have, not only have to notify them on the checkout page, you actually have to send another follow-up email 48 hours later. That's wonderful customer satisfaction. You have to send annual notice to anybody over $100, and then you have to do a report that says, I was perfect in meeting all of those needs, and then 10K if you miss any of the items above, even once, okay? So if you exceed the thresholds, register, collect, pay, and file, okay? I've covered that pretty well. More states are negotiating with Amazon or enforcing or suing them for data. More states are auditing more and more sellers, or at least blasting out emails trying to make these things happen. There are going to be some changes this year, more next year, and more the year after that, both good or bad. We'll have to see. So manage, do nothing, do it yourself. Hopefully this webinar is helpful. Outsource it to a SALT service that does it as a standalone service, which we don't do, but we have partners. Outsource it to your CPA, but make sure they're knowledgeable in all of this and have attended webinars like this and really researched it, or outsource all of your accounting and sales tax management to someone like Catching Clouds.
Okay, so hopefully you found that helpful. If you still have questions about Nexus or filing or registering or any of that, you can get a link to our full-length webinar down below in the description. And if you want to come to Prosper Show, we've got a discount code for you. If you're there, we'd love to see you. Just swing by our booth and we'd be happy to chat with you and answer any questions you've got. If you like this video, make sure you like it, share it, comment, and if you haven't subscribed already, please do. And I'll catch you later.